Hi everyone, this is the writing prompt mini lesson for when is a planet not a planet. So your writing prompt for this week is, how did changing technology help astronomers get more information about Pluto over time? We talked about cause and effect during our shared discussion video, and now we're going to take a deeper dive into technology. And so when you're reading this text, there should be some pieces of technology that stick out to you. At the very beginning of the text, it talks about telescopes, and astronomers and scientists have used telescopes throughout the years to study the night sky. So one really important piece of information that was learned about Pluto came from just the simple telescope being improved. And so one of the things we learned in the text was that because telescopes had improved, an American astronomer had discovered that the tiny dot everyone thought was Pluto was really two objects. And so that's going to be, when we try to focus our writing, we're going to talk about the improvement of telescopes. So if we're looking for changing technology, then we want to write improved telescopes. And then we learned that those improved telescopes Pluto was discovered to be two objects. So that's the first thing we learn about changing technology, and then what the effect is of that changing technology. So as we go a little bit further in the story, and I'm actually gonna put my book up here. So in this section, Finding Planets, this section talks a lot about using the Samuel Ocean Telescope. So again, we have a telescope that's probably been improved upon since the telescope that we were just talking about. But there's something really unique about this telescope and the technology that's used with it. So when we're thinking of the Samuel Ocean Telescope, it does not require an astronomer to be looking through it to look at the night sky. So what's changed in the technology is that robots control the ocean telescope. And the robots, as they're controlling the telescope and its camera, they're able to take pictures of different sections of the night sky, which the astronomers want to study. So the robots, using the telescope and the camera, take all these broad region views, okay, using the camera. They take these pictures and then they send them to the astronomers' computers. So that way the astronomers can come in and they can look at these pictures and be looking for something that is out of the ordinary. So that's going to be another piece of changing technology. So actually, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to create a third little column. And so we had our telescopes. We know that they improved. And now we also have robots control the ocean telescope and its cameras. So this is our next piece of changing technology. Robots control the ocean telescope and its cameras. So the cause, because astronomers are able to look at more of the night sky. So Well, that's kind of like a cause and effect in itself, right? Astronomers able to look at more of night sky. What did they find? As we kept reading, we ended up learning that with their ability to look at more of the night sky, they were then able to discover more objects in the same area as Pluto. And then that led to scientists giving an actual definition of what a planet is. And so they were then able to learn that Pluto was not what we had thought of as a planet, but it was a dwarf planet. So they were able to discover other objects in the same area as Pluto. This led to scientists defining what a planet is, resulting in Pluto being categorized as a dwarf planet. Okay, so lots of information here. How did changing technology help astronomers get more information about Pluto over time? If I was approaching this writing prompt, I would go back into my text. I would look for examples of how technology has changed. We talked about 2. Telescopes have changed. The simple improvement of telescopes created an effect. It allowed scientists to see, or astronomers to see, that Pluto was discovered to be 2 objects. And then as telescopes improved further, who controlled them changed. Robots, which is technology in itself, robots are controlling the ocean telescope and its cameras. And so because of that changing technology, astronomers were able to look at more of the night sky. Because they were able to look at more of the night sky, they were able to discover other objects in the same area as Pluto. That led to scientists defining what a planet really is, and then that resulted in Pluto being kicked out of our solar system of sorts. It's no longer a planet, it's called a dwarf planet. So these are the things I'd like you to think about when you write for your prompt. And so you're going to have an example that looks like this. This will be given to you and you'll type directly into it. So when you plan your writing, this is crucial to being a strong writer. You always want to plan it out. And so your graphic organizer has organized everything for you. Examples of changing technology that helped astronomers get more information about Pluto. Okay, so example 1. We talked about improved telescopes. So this is, actually we should say just telescopes. That's our example, telescopes. What's the cause? Telescopes improved. And then what's our effect? Pluto was discovered to be 2 objects. And this week I included a what does it mean space for you. So once you fill out this and then you go find your actual text evidence that supports this, when you pull out your words that you're either going to use direct quotes for or you're going to paraphrase. Okay, so remember when you find your text evidence, you're looking for either direct quotes or you're going to paraphrase. Those are the two things you're going to do. And then once you've done that, you have to have that final sentence that connects it. What does that text evidence mean? Okay, so that's where you get to explain this shows, this means, and this is where you elaborate. This is where you take some more of that information that you learned in your reading and you elaborate about your cause and effect. Okay, example two. Example two. Robots controlled telescopes. Or robot, actually we should say robot controlled telescopes. So what's our cause? Astronomers able to see more of night sky. And then we talked about how this led to Pluto being a dwarf, being, categorized as a dwarf planet. So maybe this is actually where you write the effect, able to discover other objects, leading to Pluto being called a dwarf planet. So again, I'm taking the information that I found in our graphic organizer and now I'm even rewording it even more. That is what you do. You take your graphic organizer from your reading when you take your notes, when you first have the prompt in your head, and then you plan it out a little bit more. Okay. And now I would then go back, I'd find the text evidence that talks about robots controlling telescopes, but I would also look for text evidence that talks about, after finding these objects, how did that lead to the thinking that there were dwarf planets? So sometimes your text evidence is going to be more than one piece of text evidence, folks. I know that a lot of times we want it to be kind of simple, quick, but in writing, sometimes you need to find more pieces of text evidence. Sometimes you need to explain yourself in more than one sentence to really prove your point, to get your idea across. And that's how I'm trying to help you be better writers, is it's not always about, well, I wrote 4 sentences, therefore I'm done. Sometimes you need to add more. It needs to make sense. That's what I'm looking for. And that's really the difference between approaching grade level and grade level and above grade level, is how well you elaborate, how well you explain your evidence and your thinking. Okay, so then once you have found your text evidence, which you're going to either directly quote or paraphrase, you're going to tie it back. What does all of that mean? So once you've filled out this, you're then going to use the paragraph structure to help you put together your paragraph. These are examples. You do not have to use the topic sentence I created, but you may. I have given you examples of how to start each sentence. I went back in for this week and wrote which sentence is which, because I think some of you were kind of confused in this. So ideally, minimally, your paragraph is 8 sentences. You might find that your paragraph becomes 9 or 10 sentences just based on your text evidence or how you explain it. But I've given you examples of how to begin sentences. In some cases, I've given you multiple examples. You choose one. Okay, so follow this format. If you need help, we will meet on Friday at 2 o'clock to go over this. but you must already have something written. And I'll know you do because I can see your documents even if you're not finished. So you must have something finished. You must have some thoughts together. You must have given it a shot before you come and ask for help, because everything you need is included. The practice you're getting is how do you take what you know about the text and put it into words on paper. If you need to reread the story again, reread the story again. I know it's extra work, but that's how you learn and that's how you get better. Okay, so get to work. I'm available for help tomorrow.